Hello everyone, I am here today to tell you about Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the third book of the Throne of Glass series, and it's time to keep it real with y'all. I didn't like this series until this book. I read Throne of Glass and I read Crown of Midnight, and it was one of those things to where I guess I'd keep on reading to see what happened, and I'm so glad I decided to keep up with the series because this book I could read over and over and over again. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's so good. If you don't know what the series is about, it follows Celaena, and Celaena is a kick-ass assassin. Unfortunately, she has landed herself in this prison camp. She has a chance of regaining her freedom if she fights in this competition to try to be the king's champion. From there, it just shoots off, and there's so many plot twists and turns throughout the 3 books. The third one is so much better, and I like where the direction of this book is headed, in my opinion, in this book, versus the other 2 didn't really make me that excited, but I like how everything is finally coming together, and I like where this is headed. So because this is the third book of the series, if you haven't gotten this far, I highly suggest that you flip this off and read it and then come back and watch, because I'm just gonna get right into all the wonderful spoilerly goodness. So I'll see you again. Goodbye. Now, go. Now. Okay, bye. I love Celaena in this book. Even though she's not as action-packed as she was before, we really get to know Celaena. And maybe that was the problem for me in the past, is I didn't know her. And through this book, I think we learned her inner struggles and her inner turmoils and her strengths and her weaknesses. And we learned who she was, finally. Who is Celaena? We know that she's not just Celaena, some kick-ass assassin. We know that she's Aelin, the heir to this throne and Fae, and so much more complicated, and I liked that. She seemed finally like a real person to me. As hard as that is for me to say, it took me 3 books to figure out who she was and for me to feel like I could connect with her on some way. But I almost feel like that was kind of done on purpose, because if we knew Celaena in the last 2 books, we would really have nowhere to go in this 3rd book, and this 3rd book was a lot of self-discovery on her part. So I think one of my favorite parts of this book is Celaena learning more about her Fae self, and we get to figure out her Fae powers along with her, and we get to know more of her background and what makes Celaena Celaena. I liked the fact that we have more of the Fae, demi-Fae aspect in there. I think it adds so much more to the storyline, and I'm glad that we finally get there. So let's talk about the best part for me is Rowan. I'm sorry, goodbye Chaol, or however you pronounce your name, but Rowan, I am shipping Rowan and Celaena so hardcore. I love them together, I want them to be together, and he accepts every single part of her. The problem with Chaol is that he accepts the human part of her, but he doesn't understand and get her past and the Fae part of her, and you can't pick and choose, which is why I think that Rowan is going to end up with Celaena, or at least I hope, because I will be crushed, because you can't pick and choose what things you like about a person, and Dorian said the same thing. You have to love the good with the bad, and Rowan, even though it takes him a while to get there, there's that little spark or something, and Rowan even says in the book, I don't know what this is, and let's figure it out, or something along those lines, but specifically said, I don't know, or whatever this is, and I think that's what they're both trying to figure out. And my prediction, because it was mentioned early on, it was talked about Fae giving up their immortality for mortals. And Celaena, even though she's a Fae, it hasn't been established if she will live forever or if she has a mortal body. I think that Rowan has lived long enough, he's seen enough that where I think if Celaena has a mortal body, that he will give up his immortality so that way they can live happily ever after. So let's speak of Chaol. And I like him, don't get me wrong, but I have a bad feeling about Chaol's future. He's a very integral part in this book and getting this revolution type thing kick-started. And I think that he is going to be a continuous part of the book series. However, I don't know where he fits in. He is the captain of the guard for a king he no longer respects, and he's stabbing behind the king's back. But he's also this lord who he has no intention, I mean, he made a promise to his dad, but he doesn't want to go back and be the lord of his land, property, lordship area. And I have lost interest in him and Celaena being together. Since she met Rowan, for me, that ship has sailed, so I don't know where this puts Chaol in the book series. And Sarah J. Maas has not been afraid to kill off characters in the past, and I think he is an integral part of setting up the revolution, and once it starts, I don't know what role he is going to play, and I think somewhere along the lines he is going to be killed off. Alright, time for Dorian. I feel so bad for Dorian. He has the worst luck in life ever, and I feel so bad for him. So he's trying to deal with keeping this magic a secret because his dad is a bad person and basically got rid of magic and calls it illegal. So what is Dorian supposed to do? So then he finds Sorka, the person who he finally is able to talk to about this and is trying to help him, and she dies. Now the king knows that Dorian has magic. He killed Sorka, and it's so fast and so heart-wrenching, and just Dorian could not get any luck whatsoever, so I'm rooting for Dorian so much. We also have Aedion, who we don't like at all in the beginning because we think that he is in cahoots with the king. Wrong. Couldn't be more wrong. I ended up loving Aedion, and I cannot wait for the reunion between him and Celaena because I think it is going to be so heartwarming and just good feels. I love that this book is told through so many different points of views, and yet she can still trick us, Sarah J. Maas, can still trick us in thinking something bad about another person and having it be completely different, or vice versa. So I love that we were fooled by Aedion and that now he is on our side. He is one of the good guys. We were also introduced to another new character, which is Manon Blackbeak, and I wasn't too fond of her being in this story because I just wanted more Celaena and Rowan and Dorian and Chaol and Aedion, and at first I was just like, who is this girl? Get away, you can't sit with us. I ended up really interested in that storyline. I like how we kind of grow to like Manon in a way. We're not like, oh, I want to be best friends, but I like her as a character, and I think it's interesting that we see the witches' point of side who are working with the king, and then we also see the opposing side with Celaena and Aedion and Rowan and Chaol and Dorian, and so I think it's interesting that we have these two points of views, and it makes me wonder, is Manon a hidden good character? Or how is this going to develop? And I think it's really interesting. Alright, so let's talk about the king's trap at the end. So, because the king is either A, so damn clever, or B, so damn lucky, things kind of fell apart at the end for Aedion, Chaol, and Dorian. Now the king knows that Dorian has magic. He arrested Aedion because, you know, Aedion is a traitor, and Chaol is just SOL at this point. No idea what to do. Everything that they had worked for and planned just kind of came crumbling down. And so now it's Celaena and Rowan to the rescue, and that makes me happy. So again, I love how this book and series is moving along. I love the direction that it's headed. I want to reread Heir of Fire like ASAP, but too bad I have other things to read. And I really hope Rowan and Celaena are happily ever afters. Bad feelings about Cole or Chaol. Poor Dorian. Manon equals cool-ish. Oh, and King is still a jackass. I think that sums everything up. So that is it for today, and please, please, please comment below and tell me your thoughts and feelings, because I just want to talk about it. Who else is Celaena and Rowan fans? Come on, there has to be a few, and I know a few people are gonna be sticking to the Chaol Celaena, but who's a Rowan fan? Because I love me some Rowan. If you like my videos, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Goodreads, Tumblr, and Twitter. And until next time, I'll see you guys later, and goodbye! And that ship has sailed. The debate continues. Sorka? Sorsha?